thought process to think about as D.Va. Always contest the high ground. Always never let the enemy DPS location get out of your head. Always look to either counter or nullify the value that DPS can make. And then and remember, if DPS are not doing a lot, then help your frontline tank. Help your frontline tank sustain longer with Matrix. Help your frontline tank put out more damage with your guns. And like in some situations this is circumstantial. If you know the enemy DPS is not going to do anything for the next 8 seconds, you can use your missiles to help and spam in the shield, in terms of trying to win the shield war spam war. So yeah.
Hey.
You hear that, Hanzo? The enemy has a Hanzo. And where's the Hanzo? He's on the high ground. This is something you should be completely contesting.
30 seconds remaining.
Everyone stick together. We can do this.
See, this is a good example right here, but it was a little too late, not gonna lie. If the Hanzo managed to throw one shot out, if that shot hit one of your friends' heads, it would have been over for you. That's why it's important to control the map as early as you can. And if the enemy commits to it, like I said earlier, contest him for a bit, get the fuck out with your mech, heal up, then get back in there, contest him again.
Time to raise my ATM.
I don't know why you would Matrix's Zarya again. I also don't know why you didn't try to contest that McCree on the high ground. Okay, I know you're trying to prevent Zarya from getting a grab off, but what can I say to this? Getting the grab off, I mean, preventing the enemy DPS from getting value, I feel like is more important than preventing a Zarya getting a grab off. You know? Because if Zarya gets a grab off, if she's high energy and she gets the grab off, she's definitely, if the Zarya is high energy, she's gonna look to get a grab off, you know? If the Zarya is low energy, she's really not gonna be looking to get a grab off unless she has her team with her, you know? If there's a low energy Zarya, she's usually unprioritized in terms of like target focus, you know? A DPS on the high ground is much more dangerous than a Zarya who is low charge and has grab. So over here you get nanoed. I feel like your Reinhardt was supposed to get nanoed here, but even still, since you got nanoed, you should have went in there. You should have basically tried to contest a point. Have the cart take longer to move, because you have the tankiness. You got naded. You're getting committed. You should be pushing in there. You should be pushing in there, trying to contest, and you should be looking to put out pressure onto the enemy Reinhardt. And you could have actually probably put lots of pressure. But over here, you're just sticking way too hard in the back. You're sticking way too much in the back. You're giving them cart for free, and you're giving them pressure for free. You know. Your aggression is extremely weak here. You're way too passive. This is really bad. Unfortunate.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Hey there. Hello. Group up. Group up here. Join me, Star. Easy.
Okay, that was way too much Matrix. Oh my god, why are you using your Matrix for stupid shit like this? This is bad usage.
Bad guys.
Routing power to forward area.
Spam, no, Matrix for spam. It hurts to watch. No, god. You should also be looking to get yourself an ultimate off here. I mean, okay, maybe they have a Baptiste, so they could probably survive it, but the most it could do, or the least it can do is it can give your team a lot of room to work with. The pressure would end up, like, separating the enemy team, and they could look to kill off isolated targets right here. You should have recognized that. Over here, your mate decides to use your ultimate, so you don't need to use yours. Oh, and so does your McCree. Interesting. What? That booster. What is that boosters? Why are you meleeing him? He's 1 HP. You could just brush him. Okay, like I said. Oh, actually, no. Your team's in a very passive position. They can't push this. That was a really good eat right there. Also, where is the Hanzo? I don't know where the Hanzo is, honestly, but I do know he took damage from him. Oh, he's just poking. Nice, so your team gets 2 picks.
Get through this.
60 seconds remaining.
Hey there.
I'm in aim.
Not gonna lie, your reaction timing to this Junkrat here was just horrid. You didn't even try to like matrix the Junkrat when you saw him jump up.
Seconds remaining.
I'm not a good producer. Keep your head and let's take this home.
Step right.
10 seconds
Time to
Yeah,
raise
the
my
melee.
ATM.
You should stop using melee if the enemy is above 25 HP.
Routing power forward to me.
I think you definitely overuse melee too much. I think you definitely use your combo too much, and just in so many wrong times.
I'm on fire.
You're powered up. Get in there.
I am unstoppable. Nerf this.
Honestly, that was a really good carry in the end. So pretty much now that the match is over, how can I summarize this so far? Your ult usage, 7 out of 10. You got 2 good valuable ultimates right there, in the second round. You got 1 good ultimate off in the first round. And honestly, I'd say the only thing that you need to work on with your ultimate is just being faster, you know? There's 2 times when you had your D.Va Bomb, and you could have got to more value with it. First time on the first point, and the second time when you were defending. Another thing, your ability usage, I would say, is just horrible. I was originally going to give you a 5 out of 10, but looking at it again for the 3rd time, I would give it a 3 out of 10. You don't utilize your boosters. You don't basically cancel your boosters when you're in the enemy's face. Your defense matrix, you eat way too much spam. I'm guessing this is just because you have bad habits. You have a lot of bad habits with matrix and a lot of bad habits with your combo, your booster melee combo. You use it way too early. Booster melee combo is meant to be used as a finisher to finish off enemies, not burst them down. you should just focus on trying to use your damage over time with your regular left clicks, or primary fires as you would call it, instead of using your melee booster combo. Let's see, what else? You also seem to have bad habits of, again, using your rockets way too early. That's like still something you need to work on. You're doing better, but you still need to work on using your rockets when this in the enemy's face, not far away. Positioning, 5 out of 10. You don't do any scouting. You have horrible map control. You're not playing aggressive enough to have good map control and prevent the enemy from getting value. You let the enemy DPS get way too much value in so many times. You're lucky that you still managed to even crush them. Like, your fragginess is still pretty good, but like your off-tank fundamentals is lacking. That's why I wanted to make that summary earlier on second round, first point when you were defending. Let's see, what else? Your game sense, I would say, is honestly 8 out of 10. You don't really have any good capitalizations. Like, the only time you capitalize is on the very fucking obvious things, like capitalizing on a shatter, capitalizing, hey, you need to help your McCree. You missed out on the one thing you fucked over is basically not defense matrixing your soldier when he was ulting, when he was right in front of you, because you didn't like defense matrix him. You allowed that Junkrat to get a really good counter roll off. You had some really good eats there. Like, eating the Zarya grab 2 times in a game is honestly very impressive. I would say that's pretty good. So yeah, I would say your overall effectiveness, it would be a 9 out of 10. The reason why I say that is because despite having your shitty fundamentals of an off tank, and some okay mechanics, because you did fuck up several times where you fucking managed to fail to kill a low health Winston that you should have definitely been able to finish off, and that you kind of like took longer than needed to kill, like several squishies that should have been finished off like 2 seconds earlier. Your effectiveness was still pretty good because the enemy wasn't really that great. Like, the enemy made too many mistakes for them to have really been able to contest you guys properly. Still though, I would say in terms of like your overall performance, it would basically take a very small toll down to like maybe 5 out of 10, honestly. Your performance, you're very inconsistent on a lot of things. Like I said before, you still need to control high ground against DPS and off tanks. Never let them get stuff for free. You still need to scout more often. You need to make a habit of trying to hit more headshots onto the enemy tanks, because that's very, very valuable. And you also need to, and also if you get nano boosted, you need to play much more aggressive with nano boost. Nano boost is basically basically saying, hey, you're a fucking tank, you're nano boosted, you have a lot of damage, get in there, go fucking put out some damn pressure and maybe see if you can kill someone, you know? So yeah. I think this is pretty much it. Let me see what else kind of notes I can go over. Problems. I think I already mentioned this before, but I'm gonna say it one more time, but this time in more detail. When you have the HP advantage in duels against tanks, you should commit to the fight for a potential kill, and then you can try to boost out afterward. If the enemy has like support, like say for instance a DPS or another tank or a healer, then that's probably something to get out of. If the enemy Zarya is low charge, you can easily win the duel, because she won't be able to really melt her back, and you'll be doing lots of damage into her face. If she has a bubble, that will basically make it more difficult to kill her. But what you can do is you can use your boosters to move sporadically, so you can outlast bubble while it makes it hard for her to track you down, and then you can focus her down once she doesn't have her bubble. She'll be forced to retreat, and she won't have a lot of charge. She'll have used her self bubble, and it's gonna be really shitty for her. And you have much smaller cooldowns, so you can like get more value over time, and you can move to the next fight very quickly. I noticed in your overall playstyle, that you play extremely passive, which is very detrimental to your team play. If you're in ranked games, your usual win condition is to make more plays and to carry your team. You want to be able to be more effective. Like over here, how you fragged out in the end right here. This is exactly how you want your games to go. You want to be able to frag out, get lots of value, and you want to basically kind of like carry your games in a way. You know, you want to frag out, you want to make really good plays with your ultimates, and trust me, you'll end up climbing because of it. If you do have the ability to work with your team, so like say for instance, if you can make team coordination with friends who know how to synergize, you should use that as an advantage in your games. Because then, it basically allows you to play the game properly, and it's really difficult to play against enemies who know how to play the game properly. The only way how you can like basically rival people who know how to play the game properly is to also play properly, but just better and better mechanics. Okay. Your playstyle is extremely passive, which is bad, like I said before. Yeah, this is the same note as the other one. Since your D, oh yeah, I already said this already. Yeah, I think I'm gonna say this again, just so you get a reminder. Stop using Matrix to expand. You need it to prevent counterplay. You also need to be prepared when the enemy is going to make plays. It's very important. Always do that. Yes. One thing to pay attention to regarding your HP, since you're an off tank, you're going to be constantly playing. You should be always. The main tank should also be in your head about how good his health is. You know, if the main tank has a lot of health, you should be fine. You should be able to push it. You know, if your main tank is pretty much low and the healer is healing him, and you're also low, you should tend to look for a mega health pack, or just get into the backline, play very passive, so you just at least don't lose your back. That's one thing you want to make sure. Your target priority is you switch too much on targets. I feel like the only time you should be switching on your targets is if the enemy is low health. If the enemy is low health, you can switch your target to that enemy. You know. When the enemy runs out of choices to make a comeback, you can play very aggro with him to finish him off faster. So, how do I put this? Let me review this one. Let me review this one play, because there's actually something over here that shows a very good example of that.
I need healing.
So it's it's over here.
Fire in the hole.
So you kill off the Zarya and you kill off the Ashe. Get that.
You better get out of the way.
Here. Oh, that's a little too far. So over here you do switch to a target. Over here I see you play a little defensive. You notice how you basically use Matrix there? The only time you should basically be playing defensive in any sort of way, or like have a bit of caution, is when you're worried about the enemy making a counterplay that could win them the fight, you know, or kill you off. That's the one thing you want to prevent. Or if the enemy does manage to kill you, but it's not going to win them the fight, then you can just afford to die. You know, it's okay to die. But in these situations, when the enemy runs out of choices to make a comeback, you can play very aggro into them to just finish them off faster. And the more faster you can kill off the enemy, the more harder it makes it hard for the enemy to stabilize, you know? Especially if you can get like a really good stagger off. So, yeah. Let's see. I think this is pretty good right here. I've pretty much went over all my notes that I had about your D.Va that I gathered. So I hope this VOD review is helpful. Like I said before, one thing you need to really work on is your fundamentals on off tank and what to think about in your games most often. So yeah, I wish you good luck, and yeah, I'll see you later.